Generations of girls and boys have grown up on Disney's animated fairy tales, where princesses are routinely saved from the clutches of evil, and sometimes even manage to save themselves. While some Disney princesses have become modern role models, others now seem woefully passive if not downright regressive. So how does your favorite Disney princess rate? Here's a look at every Disney princess ranked from worst to best. Snow White. What do you do when you're considered too beautiful to survive in your own kingdom and are forced to roam the woods aimlessly until you find a seemingly abandoned bit of shelter? Well, according to the 1937 classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, you become a housemaid for a bunch of reclusive bachelors. Given that the entire plot is about how narcissistic women are, and the fact that Snow White is basically just a prop for the dwarfs and the prince to save, there doesn't seem to be much substance to this princess. Maybe if she spent just a little less time wishing to be swept off her feet and a little more time working on making her dreams come true, she'd rank higher on our list.
I'm wishing for the one I love to find me.
Aurora. While Disney's live-action reboot Maleficent tries to give Princess Aurora a little more dignity, the original version of the character from 1959's Sleeping Beauty is most definitely a dud. Despite her overprotective parents, Aurora still manages to do the one single thing she was expressly forbidden to do, and ends up in a coma as a result. Luckily, Prince Philip is awesome, so she's saved. The moral of the story is hard to figure out, but if we had to guess, it falls somewhere in the middle of don't ever disobey your parents and only a white knight can save you from your own bad decisions. So clearly, Aurora's tale is not the most empowering of the Disney princess bunch. Heck, even the fairy godmothers are enforcing gender-normative stereotypes.
Blue!
Cinderella. Another Disney princess who has recently received a proactive reboot in the world of live-action films, Cinderella is a total sad sack in the 1950 animated version. Oh, we all feel bad for her, suffering at the hands of all the spiteful, vicious women in her life. She also has a pure heart, as proven by the fact that hordes of rodents and birds flock to her, which is always a sign that you're looking at a true Disney princess.
Hello.
But though Cinderella does display pluck and determination, she's also a classic damsel in distress whose main virtue seems to be that she cleans up really well. Bippity boppity bleh. Rapunzel. There's something biblical about the importance given to Rapunzel's hair in 2010's Tangled. Much the same way Samson's strength is stored in his mane, the very health of the world in which this Disney princess lives derives from her locks. Still, falling in love with literally the first man she's ever seen is taking naivety to a whole new level. And the fact that she doesn't follow her dreams until she meets Flynn is a step back for Disney, which made so much progress on its princesses before and after this film's release. At least she swings a mean frying pan.
Alone at last.
Ariel. As much as we all might love to sing along with the soundtrack, there is something rather disturbing about Ariel's arc in 1989's The Little Mermaid. All the classic helpless princess tropes are here. She throws away her life in order to chase the hot prince, and can only be saved from the witch's curse with his magic kiss. The metaphor behind Ariel losing her voice may be unintentional, but it remains significant.
But they dote and swoon and fawn on a lady who's withdrawn. It's she who holds her tongue who gets a man.
Also, the fact that her so-called independence means becoming a teen bride who is totally separated from her family seems sad. All in all, while we love Ariel's curiosity about the world and willingness to go against societal norms to follow her heart, this is one princess who sinks in our estimation rather than rising to the top. Jasmine. Princess Jasmine's arc in 1992's Aladdin is almost really good. Faced with the prospect of being wed to a stuck-up suitor at the insistence of her sultan father, she flees her massive castle and seeks refuge among the commoners. However, at the slightest hint of trouble, she throws off that temporary cloak and pulls a "Do you know who I am?" to get herself and Aladdin out of trouble.
Unhand him by order of the princess.
Princess Jasmine.
Apparently, that's more convenient than actually standing up for herself. And then she's stuck in an hourglass while she watches two men fight to decide her fate, like a trophy at a high school wrestling match. Ultimately, she does manage to overlook Aladdin's criminal history and convince her dear old dad to bend the rules so she can marry him instead of a foreign prince, but Jasmine is treated like a prize rather than a person for most of the movie. Pocahontas. Let's start with the good. In the 1995 film Pocahontas, the titular heroine is a strong woman who desires her own path in life, despite what has been carved out for her by her father. She respects the beauty of the natural world, producing some majestic musical pieces that may bring a chill to eco-conscious listeners.
Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or asked the grinning bobcat why he grinned?
However, the representation that she'll undermine her entire tribe for the sake of some fleeting romance with a literal gold digger is hard to reconcile with her free-spirited personality. Luckily, her value isn't made or broken by John Smith's arrival and departure, but it is still informed by him in far more ways than it should be. Belle. There's no doubt that Belle has a lot of redeeming qualities in both the 1991 animated version of Beauty and the Beast and the recent hit live-action remake. She likes books, she mostly embraces her status as the town weirdo, and she refuses the overt advances of the local jock, Gaston, despite living in an era when becoming a spinster was a very real fear for adolescent women. Plus, she's scrupulous enough to see past Beast's off-putting exterior, making her story a very literal translation of the phrase, "Don't judge a book by its cover." Then again, she's also held prisoner for almost the entire movie until she finally succumbs to Stockholm Syndrome and begins sympathizing with the dude who kidnapped and imprisoned her after being emotionally manipulated by talking furniture. So that's a really big problem.
Look at that! I knew it would work.
What works?
It's very encouraging.
Anna and Elsa. Technically, the sisters at the heart of the 2013 hit Frozen haven't yet been named official Disney princesses. But we all know it's coming, so how do Anna and Elsa stack up? Pretty well, it turns out. There's something pure about the self-sacrificial nature of Anna's journey and the love she has for her sister. It's really one of the best representations of the sisterly bond in any Disney film. And for Elsa's part, the message of empowerment and self-acceptance displayed when she finally decides to let it go and embrace her true nature is undeniably powerful. That alone is enough to land this pair of princesses a high spot on our chart.
Let it go, let it go. You'll never see me cry.
Hey, you didn't really think we'd let you get away from this without having that song stuck in your head, did you? Tiana. The fact that Tiana was Disney's first black princess makes her a standout. But it's her attitude and spirit that really make the star of the 2009 film The Princess and the Frog truly shine. Rather than dreaming of some happily ever after, Tiana's ambition is much more personal, as she wants to open her own restaurant as a means of fulfilling her late father's dream of becoming a restaurateur. Everything else, including her froggy love story, ranks a distant second to that goal. Not to mention, she's the kind of girl who can roll up her sleeves and handle 2 jobs to make ends meet. The can-do nature of Tiana is refreshing, to say the least. Which is a good thing because we're still totally traumatized by how utterly terrifying the Shadow Man is.
I promise I'll pay your back! I promise!
And that's how you give kids nightmares. Merida.
I am Merida, firstborn descendant of Clan Dunbrog, and I'll be shooting for my own hand!
In the 2010 Pixar hit Brave, Merida refuses to be a pawn in someone else's game. In a contest held to determine who will receive her hand in marriage, Merida enters the competition to win her own hand and stomp the rest of the contenders. She also fights a bear, saves her family, and helps reshape the course of history while proving to the world that she's worthy of making her own decisions, thank you very much. It's also worth noting that her looks were purposely made imperfect by the director, and that Disney was forced to draw back on the glamorized version it tried to sell due to public outrage over the unnecessary makeover attempt. A Disney princess affecting real-world change? Now that's worth singing about. Moana. Like Anna and Elsa, the star of 2016's Moana isn't technically an official Disney princess just yet.
Okay, first, I'm not a princess. I'm the daughter of the chief.
Same difference.
No.
If you wear a dress and you have an animal sidekick, you're a princess.
But she's still a great role model for boys and girls. Charged with saving her island home, she risks her life, rescues a demigod, and heals the earth itself. In the end, she proves that a person's size and gender has nothing to do with one's capacity to make a big difference in the world. Mulan. Forget ball gowns and magic kisses from charming princes because the heroine from the 1998 smash Mulan doesn't have time for any of that nonsense. No, she's busy leading China's army in a desperate and ultimately successful attempt to save her family and her country from marauding invaders. Mulan pretty much has everything: guts, glory, and genuineness. Even the tiny tinge of a love story is based on earned mutual respect, and she doesn't need some showboat castle and crown to live out her happily ever after. Add it all up, and there's no doubt that Mulan is the top Disney princess of all time. For now, at least.
When will my reflection shine? I am
Thanks for watching. Click the Nikki Swift icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.